Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2. Whether you like it or not, this season was full of content and new ideas, and potential as well, but I've been seeing some very mixed opinions about this season, such as, this season's over and it's pretty bad. The new items are kinda meh and the loot pool sucks. Talking about the loot pool again, the weapons they kept overshadow a lot of the new weapons. The Gatekeeper shotgun is really fun when used well, but other than that, most of the weapons are either just carried over or pretty bad. The sniper is a pointless weapon since the DMR exists. And the new Olympian weapons or items are weirdly balanced. The wings are cool at first, but they make you a big target. The lightning bolts are overpowered and way too dangerous. The chains of Hades are awful. And super fun. Now, you are entitled to your own opinions, as am I. But I want to talk about the good and bad of this season, and at the end, I'll rate a season out of 10. I know I'm so original. Anyways, let's start off with... The launch of the season wasn't fantastic. It was met with the extended downtime of over 18 hours and was buggy when the downtime was lifted, the graphics had some trouble rendering, and the servers were reportedly having massive issues with putting people into matches or even logging them into the game. Now, this certainly soured people's taste this season and weakened the integrity, and somewhat shifted people's perspective of the season, and how it might progress. But once patches were put into place and they fixed some issues, and people were actually able to play it, we got the full picture. The season was a Greek mythology themed season, and started off with a few new Olympian weapons, Zeus's lightning bolts, and the wings of Icarus. Starting off, the initial perception of the Zeus's lightning bolts were that it was extremely overpowered. But once people learned some strategies to combat them, most people realized they were a lot more balanced, being able to shoot the user with the lightning bolts in mid-air, since they weren't able to move. As far for the Icarus wings, they were used a ton at first, giving you mobility and arguably some of the best mobility ever in Fortnite, as some people argued. And as the season progressed, they would still be used. That is, until a later item would be introduced. But we'll talk about that later. Then, there were the new guns. We still had the classics from the prior season, the Frenzy Auto Shotgun, the Reaper Sniper Rifle, and the Nemesis Assault Rifle, and a few other weapons from last season. But then there were the new guns, such as the Gatekeeper Shotgun, Huntress DMR, and the Warforged Assault Rifle, and a few others. Overall, the weapon pool was not lacking on any front, and was very different compared to other prior seasons. And the new POIs were interesting and unique. There were 5 new locations: Mount Olympus, Brawler's Battleground, Grimgate, the Underworld, and Restored Reels. These were very interesting locations, and we've never really seen anything like these before. So overall, very good perception of these. But of course, some problems arose. People felt that all the POIs were no different than how they were last season, and that they were being disregarded since they didn't have any changes or uniqueness anymore. Which, I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree with. And there were also some complaints about weapon balancing, involving the Frenzy Auto Shotgun. The Frenzy Auto was the top gun of the last season, and it started out that way this season as well, and it stayed that way for a little bit, until Epic threw a few nerfs on the weapon, and it became more bearable. At this point in the season, people were just getting a general feel for the season, and trying everything out. Then, on March 19th, we got update version 29.01, where we got a new Midas skin, a Floor is Lava game mode from prior seasons, and they unvaulted the drum gun. They added the Shield Bubble Jr., the Gold Chicken, the Gold Eggs, and the Chain of Hades. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about the Chains of Hades. Now, this weapon on release was kinda bad, not gonna lie. It was not very good in damage, it had no mobility, and the reach on it wasn't that fantastic. Overall, it was kind of underwhelming compared to the other Olympian weapons. But here's what I can say, is that even though it may not be the most effective weapon, it's one of the most fun in my opinion. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the Floor is Lava game mode. Overall, this is regarded as one of the best events in this season of Fortnite. The Floor is Lava is a fan favorite game mode, and people thought it was nice to see Midas and his story again, and people were excited to see where it went. Then, on March 29th, they unvaulted the hand cannon, and they added the Banana of the Gods. Overall, this event was turning into a success. Then, on April 2nd, they added waterbending to the game, which people said was incredibly overpowered, but people still had fun, so they didn't really care that much. And the event officially ended on that day. Now, this is when things start to get interesting. On April 12th, they added airbending, earthbending, and firebending. But this is the controversy. They vaulted the Olympian weapons, the Thunderbolt, the Wings, and the brand new Chains of Hades. Overall, people weren't that happy about this, and couldn't shake the feeling that came from when they vaulted these mythic weapons. While yes, the bending abilities were super cool and fun, they were incredibly overpowered, and there was no reason to use guns because these bending abilities could do everything the guns could, but more fun and arguably better. And these bending abilities were everywhere. But overall, people still had a decent amount of fun, and it was really cool to see some of our favorite characters in fiction in the game. And as a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender myself, personally, I loved this event, and thought there were no problems with it. Even though I do understand where people are coming from, I personally don't think they were overpowered or unfair in any way. Then, on April 23rd, out of the middle of nowhere, we got a new version of the tactical assault rifle, which is alright, I guess. Not as good as the original, but still decent. Better than the Warforged, in my opinion, though. But then, on May 3rd, we received our final main event of the season, a Star Wars collaboration. And what did they add to the game? Well, they added a brand new weapon, the Wookiee Bowcaster, and they unvaulted the following: the E11 Blaster Rifle, Darth Vader's Lightsaber, Chains of Hades, Zeus's Thunderbolt, Wings of Icarus, and the Imperial Chest, which would contain the E11 Blaster or the Wookiee Bowcaster. Now, let's talk about some of the features, and my opinions on them. First off, I didn't even know Darth Vader was on the map until a few days ago. But is his lightsaber worth it? Absolutely not. It's probably one of the weakest lightsabers we've ever had in a Star Wars collaboration, which is fine, I guess, but my main problem is the fact that almost no one knew he was on the map in the first place, which is quite disappointing. But anyways, what other features were there? Well, there would be Stormtrooper outposts, where you could find the Imperial chests and Stormtrooper enemies to eliminate, and each match, there would be one camp with Chewbacca in it, and if you eliminated Stormtroopers, he would automatically become hired to aid you in combat, which is quite cool. Now, for the E11 blasters, as we know, these have never really been that strong, but I still appreciate the E11 blasters, and I think it's really cool even if it's not that effective. And for the Bowcaster, it's alright, I guess. It's nothing inherently incredible, but it's still really cool, just like the E11. But with this update, they vaulted the Shieldbreaker EMP, the Cluster Clinger, Airbending, Earthbending, and Firebending. Nothing crazy, but why was this the nail in the coffin for most people in this season? Well, it's mainly to do with the fact that it was really underwhelming, and people said it just felt like recycled content and that it didn't change anything up, which I can totally understand, but I don't think that made the season bad. We don't have to have new content every week that's game-breaking, but still, I see what people are saying and where they're coming from. And for our final main in-game update, on May 7th, we received the Big Bush Bomb. I mean, it's something. Personally, I think this season is overhated. I could be wrong, but I personally enjoyed myself. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't a sin like people are saying. And once again, I'll reiterate, your opinions are your opinions. Don't let mine change yours. However, at the end of the day, for me, I had fun. I thought it was a blast, and while I think they should have done more with the whole Greek mythology thing, I thought the theme was very cool. And I did leave some stuff out, like how they took out rarities for skins and cosmetics, but I felt like I didn't really need to cover that stuff. Anyways, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this season a solid 7.7 out of 10. But that's just my opinion. Let me know your opinion down in the comments below, and feel free to flame me in the comments as well. But now let's get into the shoutouts. If you don't know, at the end of all of my videos, I'll be shouting out small creators like myself or creators I really like that I think deserve more attention. Starting off, we have Lil Smurf. This guy makes really good informative Fortnite videos mainly, and is starting to branch off into other video games, so go over there and show him some love. Next, we have Bear Bites. Now, Bear Bites makes gaming content, film content, just kinda anything, and I gotta say his videos are very interesting, and he has some really good takes. Last but not least, we have Squidward VR, who makes Gorilla Tag content. Now, I've never played it in my life, I have no idea what Gorilla Tag is, but you should really check him out for the fun gameplay. And all of these channels and creators will be linked in the description of this video, as well as the boys. you know we can't leave them out. They'll also be linked in the description of this video, as well as my Discord, so come join if you'd like to chat about gaming or anything. And as always, have a lovely night.